Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Good morning to everyone. If we have a closer look at our Catholic devotional life, we hardly find a devotion to Saint Joseph, except maybe the novena or the Triduum before his feast on March 19 or May 1. Probably only few religious groups and congregations have this consistent devotion to Saint Joseph, like our neighbors here, the Order of Saint Joseph, the OSJs, at the Santuario de San Jose in Green Hills. If we compare devotions we have to other saints, like Saint Jude, we have every Thursday, Saint Padre Pio, Santa Filomena, etc. Saint Joseph is lost. Hearing the Pope Francis, and his beautiful messages, homilies about Saint Joseph, inspired me and also others later on I consulted to start this a more stable devotion to Saint Joseph in our shrine. In his homily, for example, during the Mass of the inauguration of his ministry as Pope in March 19, precisely on the feast of Saint Joseph in 2013, Pope Francis said, Joseph is protector because he is able to hear God's voice and be guided by his will. And for this reason, he is all the more sensitive to the persons entrusted to his safekeeping. He can look at things realistically. He is in touch with his surroundings. He can make truly wise decisions. In him, dear friends, we can learn how to respond to God's call readily and willingly. Here I would add, he said, caring, protecting demands goodness. It calls for certain tenderness. In the Gospel, Saint Joseph appears as a strong and courageous man, working man. Yet in his heart we see great tenderness, which is not a virtue of the weak, but rather a sign of strength, of spirit, and a capacity for concern, for compassion, for genuine openness to others, for love. We must not be afraid of goodness and tenderness. In another occasion, during his visit to the Philippines in 2015, in his speech to families, he said, for example, I have great love for Saint Joseph because he is a man of silence and strength. And he reveals that he has a statue of the sleeping Joseph in his stable. And he said, even when Joseph is asleep, he is taking care of the church, he said. So when the Pope, according to him, he has problems or difficulties, he would write a little note, puts it under the image of Saint Joseph so that he can dream about it. Meaning, in other words, he said, I tell him, please pray for this problem. On another occasion, in his daily Mass at Santa Marta, the place where he lives, he chose to live in Vatican, called Santa Marta, he said, today I would like to ask that Saint Joseph grant all of us the ability to dream, because we dream great things, good things. We draw near to God's dream. what God dreams about us, that He might give to those who are young people, because He was also young, the ability to dream, to take risks, and to take on difficult tasks, even seen in their dreams. And what He might give to all, the fidelity that generally matures in upright behavior, since He was just, which grows in silence, in few words, and grows in the tenderness which is capable of safeguarding one's own weakness and those of others. The Pope, with his beautiful thoughts on Saint Joseph, seems to be recommending to all of us to learn more and more from Saint Joseph's life and virtues, and also intensify our devotion to him. We thought that with what is happening in our world today, we need all the more a protector like Saint Joseph, the protector of the universal church, who protected the Holy Family with love, courage. As we inaugurate officially this devotion to Saint Joseph in our shrine of Jesus the Divine Word, we think especially for those who are looking for work and for those who have lost their jobs because of this pandemic. To Saint Joseph, the faithful worker of Nazareth, patron of workers, we ask him to pray for those workers and job seekers. We also remember parents, fathers who have great responsibility of taking care of their family. Like Saint Joseph, may they take care of them with love, faithfulness, and tenderness. The first reading today, we find Saint Paul exhorting the Thessalonians of the importance of work and not being idle. Anyone unwilling to work should not eat. But our situation today is many would like to work but can't work or cannot find work. So we ask Saint Joseph, the patron of workers, to pray for these job seekers. In the Gospel, Jesus criticizes the religious leaders for being more preoccupied on the outside than that is within, which we call heart. We in the Gospel would say he criticized the hypocrisy. Talking about hypocrisy, we all have our share of being hypocrites. If we look sincerely into our lives, into our hearts, we have all a share of this hypocrisy. Today, even more than in the time of Jesus, appearances, images has become all important. People who have certain image receive the most adulation, the biggest following, and open the biggest salaries. We are easily taken by appearances. Jesus invites us to look deeper, which is how God looks. We look at appearances, but God looks at the heart. The heart, which is of course the seat of emotions, of intellect, and of will. What matters to God is the heart, how we feel, how we think, and how and what we desire. I think Saint Joseph can help us grow also towards this authenticity. In silence, we are in touch with our true selves. We do not need to pretend. We do not need to show off. There are no cameras, you and your God, you and yourself only. Saint Joseph was a righteous man, a righteous person, faithful, courageous, because he was always in touch with himself and with God. And he cultivated this in a silence. I think our world needs silence to mark its life, to come face to face with its reality before God. In this way, we grow towards authenticity. And we ask Saint Joseph that we may continue to grow also in this authenticity in our life as Christians, cultivating it in silence together with Him and learning from Him His silence, His love for silence. May we also grow in authentic Christian values and attitudes. Saint Joseph, pray for us.